Welcome back, everyone. It's time to kick off our stage. Pwns versus Heroic is about to begin. And what a way to kick it all off with Heroic, the champions of stage 1 here. Go up against Pwns that a lot of people have a lot of hope also behind them, that they might be able to do it, including our very own friend of the show, Tim, Big Tim, Ace of Pirate. So let's see if that comes together or not. I'm Elish the Medic, your host. With me are Jack and Fabian, and we're going to talk about things in detail, starting off with Heroic, because I feel it's quite kind of simple to talk about Heroic at this point, Fabian.
You know, actually, guys, I'm going to change it. We're going to start with Pwns. And I have a one-liner for this, because you just saw
the roster's about to come up on the screen, right?
Okay.
Do you want me to do Heroic first?
Let's just, you can take Heroic. Go ahead.
Okay, go.
Do you want me to do Heroic?
Yeah, I had a one-liner perfectly for this, because I just built it up.
Right, Heroic.
It's the first day back.
They were great stage 1. Champions of stage 1, went to the major, didn't do very well. And now they need to back it up, I think is the thing with Heroic, is they need to back up that stage 1 performance and establish themselves. In the mind of a lot of people, Heroic aren't that team that are in the top 4. They're a team that got top 4 in one stage. So they need top 4 in stage 2. And I worry, and I say this after we have every single major, I worry about the knee-jerk reaction of not having success at the major. Because Heroic were building something really good. If they come out in the server today and they've changed roles, and we're seeing, I don't know, Uno on Buck, and we're seeing Gorgona on Finker, and I don't know, oh my god, I threw my pen everywhere as well. I hope that they continue that progression through stage 1 and they see that as a long journey. They don't have a knee-jerk after the major. That's my big worry with Heroic.
I mean, yeah, I can't put any other words to it. You're really, like, perfect in the way you see it.
Thank you.
The mental part for them, as I said, they are a mental team. If they're in their zone, they will thrive, and the way that they did last stage, I think it will just continue, even with the hiccup of the major, if they just keep doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Trust their own process and their entire project, because they showed last stage they have all that they need to keep doing just this.
And forget about the major.
Yeah,
stop posting video. I love the videos, but stop posting videos about the major was over a month ago. It's done. It's dusted.
Yeah,
it's
that's
old
for
news.
you, Mr. Officer.
I love
I would say the same to you about all the other trophies you've won.
Hey. That's the last time I played. Come on now.
And
No,
you will
I need
ever
to
The
play.
last time you played was against Chaos, and
We lost.
you got beat by Chaos with Hyperino playing.
Hyperino was a beast that game.
was a beast.
Yeah, I don't know. He was the best player on the entire Chaos roster.
I was like, what is going on?
And honestly, welcome to the Boomer Show. Moving on then to Pwns on the other side that have had a swap.
Yeah.
You talked about Andrisi earlier on, your ex-teammate. What's going on?
Just before we came back to this broadcast, I had to smell Jack's armpit. And the only thing that smells more than that is the performance of Pwns in last stage. So we saw Pwns that really were out of their depth. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't play well as a team, and they didn't play well individually. They kind of looked completely overwhelmed. They did have some rounds where they were shining, but they were too few. And the only times that Pwns actually won a game was when the other team lost the game, not because they played out of their minds.
They won 1, right?
They won 2 games.
Did they win 2?
But
Wow.
later on.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely right. And let's not forget the context of how this roster came apart. It came together. Is that the old roster, came apart with the org, and there was the whole drama there. They had very little time before stage 1 to work on their things, get a map pool sorted, get some resemblance of a team sorted, and that's why they are bottom of the overall leaderboard going into stage 2. They've had a lot of time now, and that's my only kind of saving grace to my mind, is that they've made a roster change. They've got another player in that they wanted, not put together. They can work, because their map pool was a 4-map pool in a total of 9. They were having to play maps that they don't play every single time because teams were just taking them there. When they played Heroic, they had to play Border. They lost 7-1 because Heroic had such a big map pool against them. So my hope for them going into this stage is that they've gone away, worked on their map pool, worked on their team play a little bit more. They're still going to struggle, I think, over the context of the stage, but get at least in the race, because in stage 1 they did not look in the race.
We're talking about G2 living up to an old roster that had won everything there is to win. I mean, we look at the new roster that Pwns have currently. They are playing with the legacy of the old roster, the team that always got themselves to the end of the tournament, and now they're struggling. So it's not just that they need to perform and shoot back, which they didn't do last stage. They also have something to live up to and expectations that will be put on them because, hey, you guys replaced probably what Europe had as their best team. And you guys are not living up to even remotely close to that.
Then let's see which map we're going to be playing on and really try to dig into the details of this, because we've seen glimmers of these two teams and we want to put the right context of what the map will be. And it will be Chalet in this case. Pwns will have the last say. They'll remove Cafe Dostoevsky and take us to the map. They start on defense as Heroic has picked attack. Jack, did you expect this?
It's always hard to expect on the first play day, so I'm going to give myself a bit of a concession on this. It's not in a map that Pwns traditionally played in Stage 1. It was one of their most disliked maps. I have it as the 7th preference map. So I think they might still have that. What I will say, though, for Heroic, is it was never a Heroic map either. So I don't know if Pwns have kind of done a double on Heroic here. I don't know if Heroic were expecting to go to Cafe rather than Chalet, because Heroic traditionally don't play this map. I think they were expecting Cafe because Heroic love that map. So do Pwns. So, why not go to it? So maybe Pwns have gone away and worked on it, although Heroic, they're happy to play it as well.
I know Heroic likes to play this map, even if it doesn't show like that in the preferences.
Yeah. They've got a good record on it, even if the preferences are low.
Yeah.
But that was Heroic for
And it could have been either map, and I still think that the advantage would have been on Heroic side. No matter what side or which one of the two maps, there's still an advantage.
So then you, both of you, my beautiful experts, you look at Pwns, you look at Heroic, and you're saying, Heroic already have an advantage. We're going to Chalet, which gives Heroic even more of an advantage in this. What can Pwns do to maybe pick and prod at Heroic and gather up some rounds?
Shoot had.
Simple.
No, but
simple as.
This is why you get the big bucks, don't you?
Yeah, get paid all the money. No, but if we're going to be completely serious, I think that the map is very attacker favored, and it's been like that for a long time, ever since we got it back in the map pool. They were struggling last stage with their attacks in Pwns, and I think, I tried to make a point, but I can't find one because I just don't think they stand a chance.
And I think that's the thing, is that we had a team that was put together, and I'll go back to that. If they resemble a team of, the previous iteration of this roster, that at least had an identity that was a little bit more systematic, slower. You knew what they were going to do and what you was going to get and what their strengths and weaknesses are. It's hard for Pwns because I think they would still discovering their identity through Stage 1. So it's hard for us to turn around and say, oh, they should do this or they should do that. I think they need to discover their identity, get that team play together as a roster, and then we can start saying, here's what they could improve. Because at the minute, we're not totally sure on this roster.
But how many times have we started with a day one where an old, let's say we're looking a year ago, Secret or an Avi would show up and then, wow, dismantle everybody, saying, wow, this is really going to be their stage. And then the next, 8 games, non-existent. Is this
I think that the biggest difference between those sort of things is that we have seen some sort of basic understanding on how to play Siege in those teams before, but I just don't see that Pwns had that basic understanding. Jack says they're trying to find their identity. It's not just finding their identity, it just needs to find out how to play Siege at all. Because even if you're trying to put yourself in some sort of box where it's like, this is how we want to play Siege, and we want to check in the box, oh yeah, we want to play aggressive, and we want to play loose strategies.
How do they then? Do you know more in detail on Chalet specifically?
I mean, on Chalet specifically, it doesn't matter. I think it's more as a whole.
Okay.
It needs to be as a whole. They need to find out, how do we play together? Where are our positions when we're attacking it? How should we think when we're playing the game? They seem to have been missing that.
Just an update for everybody. We are not in-game, despite the timer having run out, because we're still waiting for the players to all show up and be in there. So don't worry about it. We'll blame it on Hap. He didn't press the button. That's all you need to know.
I was just going to say, can we get a report on which players aren't in, and we'll publicly name and shame them.
I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know who they are.
Fine.
Frankly, Jack,
it's Hap's fault.
Fair enough. Jack, though, your opinion on Pwns and their gameplay for today against Heroic?
I just think it's going to be hard. I think if there's an opportunity, they need to capitalize on it. I.e.,
not even the player swap can do anything to change it today.
Look,
what do we expect from that?
Fabian said it when we talked about the player swap, is that Andreezy needed to go. There's clearly a player there in Andreezy. There absolutely is, because he's had 2 chances at Tier 1 now, and he's not done well in either of them, but they see something. Both teams have seen something in him, as why they've picked him up. However, I think it's maybe one for the future. I think we'll see him back later on. And with Nico, like I say, he's been waiting a long time to get in this roster. That solidifies, I think, the kills, a little bit more of a solid player in there. But I'm going to say again, it's really about finding that identity and playing for that identity for Pwns.
So what you're saying is Pwns need a Lanto. Thank you very much for that, Jack and Fabian. It's time for us to get into. Hey, you're the one that was, talking trash the entire day for the start of it. So let's get into game. It's finally ready. All the players are in. Thank you so much, Fabian and Jack. That is Heroic versus Pwns. We toss it then to our casters. It's Ace and Des. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. That's the first one of the stage, and many more, I'm sure, are to follow. Tim, we get to start things off on Chalet. One of our go-to favourite maps. It was the birthplace, I'll have you know, of Lasergate. So lots to look forward to here, but lots to look forward to for your predictions, Tim.
I'm very looking forward to the predictions. I'm not scared, Des. You know me, I love a little bit of chaos. I hate predictability, so I have thrown my hat in the ring. It might be a bit of wishful thinking, but I just want to see something wild to kick us off, and a Pwns win would certainly be that.
It's the beautiful thing when I was sat down talking about all the predictions yesterday, or predictions, more about the 10 teams we've got and how things currently sit. That gap is starting to close, it feels, between a lot of the stack here as well, where last stage, I think it was pretty clear-cut. Many expected to see the bottom 3 teams that we did see finish in the bottom of Na'Vi, Secret and Pwns finish down there. But this stage, a couple of changes coming in for all of those teams. Who knows that they might just start threatening some of those top teams that may have just seen that crown start to slip ever so slightly. So I am expecting a bit of a closer stage.
The one thing I will say to back up my predictions is all you've got to do is look at our prediction figures. Nobody's above 60%, and that is because there are always surprises. There are always difficult to pick out teams that just come along and get results that they shouldn't.
But
and
no one's below 50% either.
No, exactly that.
I'm
at like
54, I'm the
56.
lowest.
I'm at like 56, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room. I've got a little bit of wiggle room, so I've thrown it down on Pwns. And we're going to see what they can do, whether the changes during the off stage will be sufficient to get them going. I had through stage 1, Des, majority of their games went to 11 or 12 rounds. I know they weren't always playing the best siege, but they were still stretching teams. They weren't generally being run over. There was one exception. For me, unfortunately, it came against Heroic. They got beat 7-1. Not ideal, I will agree, when it comes to me saying Pwns might just win this. But, Chalet, as Fresh said, not really a Heroic map. We didn't see Pwns on it in stage 1 at all, so it's a little bit of unknown territory here.
It is, but I think that's quite exciting because when I think back to this map, I think about, we saw Secret on it a couple of times. We saw G2 go here. Rogue enjoyed it as well. There were a number of teams that enjoyed playing here, but neither of them were in that sort of world. So knowing the changes we've got coming in with things like Azami and Sense coming out, this is where we could see some really spicy stuff out of both of these teams. But our bans coming through, Tim, we've kind of rescinded a few months. Iana going to be the ban of choice here, leaving Finca on the board, and Heroic with an interesting couple of bans. The Flora is completely understandable, often used to clear out the piano area when attacking in towards Master and Office, but the Jaeger for me, that's the spicy one.
Certainly is. I comment on this time after time when we get the Jaeger bans, and it's never something that seems to come true. There's one thing going to happen, and two things, or a second thing that I would like to see happen, and that is that we're going to see a lot of Wamai played, because they're going to need him to prevent that throwable utility as a defender. So, as you can see already, Scyther picking up the Wamai. But the thing that teams rarely do to lean into that Jaeger ban is to play aggressively towards site. You've got an operator now. The only thing that's going to stop those nades is Wamai. And guess what? His magnets, they are only available over time. So to begin with, within the first 30 seconds of the round, you've got 2, maybe 3 available. Very quickly burnt, very easily dealt with. Get in there, get a bit of pressure direct onto site, let those nades do their work.
Let them sing, Tim. Let them sing. Always worth noting that sometimes you do see the laser gates also coming along from Aruni to help with that front. Also a consideration for the castle, which slows things down as well. So they have got options here to stall out a bit of time. But I think with both the Azami and side and the Wamai, as you mentioned, you want to get a few of those charges built up if possible. We are going to start on the site that I just mentioned in that ban phase, though, of Master and Office. With the Flores no longer available, it does mean Piano is a little bit more defendable. Many teams will run a Flores here and use it to burn out Banshees. They'll try and get their way through ADSs. Shields sometimes take place as well. No shields are allied. There's one shield here for the defender, so not as many as you might normally see. But on the attacking side, for me, looking at this, it feels like a bit of an old school lineup, minus maybe the Finca, to be honest with you, Tim.
It certainly does. Like you say, not too many...
There we are, a finger combo.
No.
What? No sledge? What?
Exactly. We're going to have Gorgona. He's going to be looking to just prevent any run-outs, jump outs coming from the side of Pawns, but I'm just not sure how set up to be playing like that. Out goes a keeper barricade. It's just going to give a little bit of defence to that bathroom window there, allow Scyther. Scyther's deep in the middle of the defence here. They're wanting, you can see, to keep hold of that one eye.
Well, think about what's happened so far, right? Without a sledge on side, they're either going to beat down on those castle barricades for a long time or use utility. So far, the answer has been utility, but Emission has stepped across both windows that were blown off and put down one of those keeper barriers. You can, of course, get them off by hitting them 3 times, but it's still a spot where, sure, you open them up, you put a bit of pressure onto the defenders. That pressure has now been removed once again because those windows have been blocked off. By the looks of it for Heroic, there's a good focus coming in here on the top side, trying to deny away these Habana pellets coming through the X-Kairos onto this north-facing wall, but I don't think the last set were taken off in time.
Scyther just playing a bold game there, getting himself out of bathroom. We can see the second keeper barricade was what they were looking for, really. It was to block off the window. And we're going to see little misplays like that as time goes on, but here we have Scyther still able to keep taking down those X-Kairos pellets. 1 minute 30 into the round. The Wamai's still active, Des. He's still putting the magnets down, and we haven't seen an abundance of throwables going in towards site yet.
They only had 2 nades as well, so they can't nade out Scyther anymore. He's as safe as anything sat inside of here, calling Fort Knox. But looking at the other members of the team, right, you've got 4 Claymores on side, you've got a Nomad on side as well. They are petrified about potential jump outs, but in they come through the window. It's a 1-for-1 to start things off. Emission turning over a quick second as well. And for Heroic, that felt like their time to get the ground they needed, but instead they've only gathered a slither of ground up towards Solar.
4 versus 3 then. We stand with 50 seconds left to go, and Pawns are looking good here on the top floor defence. Sloth has a little think about a reload, but it takes an age, so he's going to back away from it. He's got 46 bullets. He's absolutely fine. Sloth is going to start putting that diffuser down. Can Pawns do anything to impact onto this? They've got Exodus underneath, but he's going to be too slow. Need to be quicker there. 3v3 as Grizzly picks up WTG. As the retake comes in, it starts to fall apart. 2v2, 30 seconds left to go, and Pawns, they need to find these last 2 kills. They need to find them quickly. There is one, surely spraying down. Yes, Sloth taken out. 2v1 now. It's all up to Gorgona to hold on, and there's time here for Pawns. They can push this together. They can work to make this a trade, but no, they give Gorgona the 1v1. Can he find himself a second? No, he's going to play it smart. He's going to dip himself away, but is there an opportunity here for Emission to keep hold of this? I don't think so. He comes off. He knows he has to stick it now. Gorgona, he's going to go back up for a simple kill, and it's going to be round number 1 going to Heroic. Emission manages to get the quad kill on the round, but it is going to be too little to actually put a round on the scoreboard because the timer, the 6th man, kicks in, and it's going to be the attackers that take the round. 1-0 Heroic.
So interestingly played there towards the back end too. I mean, Sloth, once you got over that vault, it's a little bit risky on Pawns' side when you're relying on a slither of an angle to be held. Like, your reaction times have got to be pinpoint. You don't hit that man as he vaults over the little, I guess, like, well, it's not really crouch, it's more like vault level hole that opened up in the wall. You get him in that corner, there's nothing else that's going to shut him down. They had the right idea sending the castle downstairs as well, but just a few seconds behind where they needed to be there. If they
it wasn't prepped.
That's exactly. If they pre-prepped the holes or if they got there a few seconds prior, very different story.
How do they build that
How
synergy?
do they build that synergy, Tim? How do they build that synergy?
Right, on we go. Round number 2. It's going to be kitchen and dining.
I would kill for that smile of yours, Tim.
Would you?
Yeah. It just, you got to protect it. It's just one of them things.
I know that you love it when I give you that. I shoot you the smile across the casting desk.
That smile. That damn smile.
Oh, sorry, you're going to lose me. Round number 2. Here we go. Pawns, they're going to be on the defence. They've moved it down. They're going to be in kitchen and dining this time around, but it's going to be very, very similar to the last round that we saw. They're going to try to keep hold of Master and Office for as long as possible. I'd like to see, as we said, Des, a little bit more prep. If you're going to want to deny vertically, open up a few holes now. Learn your lesson. Make sure that it's possible for you to do that. You're not doing it with seconds left to go. You know, you've got WTG with the shotgun. If WTG's dead at that point, then it's getting very difficult to open up those lines of sight, and you're working on just spraying through the floor onto a default spot and sort of hoping it does the job. Heroic straight up onto the Solarium windows once again. Similar push is going to come out from them. They want to get themselves established up there, but there is work for them to do before they can.
I think a big one here is looking at a small change to Heroic as well, right? Now they've got 4 nades on side, identifying last time round. They really spun on a dime of trying to get hold of Scyther, who was playing inside a solo behind that half wall. Whereas now with 4 nades on side, they've lost a couple of the Claymores, but it's far from the end of the world because, again, you've still got the Nomad. And probably realizing there was no big aggression coming out of Pones, like, okay, we can rely less on those anti-jump out sort of gadgets that we bring or the utility in the back pockets. That's been dealt with. And I thought for a second just then we might have seen WTG going for Benja, but not to be the case. Grizzly narrowly missing a freebie, but Benja picks it up.
They do come together in the end. WTG was lucky to find that extra 20 seconds of life. Benja nearly caught him out inside a bathroom, but was able to finish him off just a little bit later. 5 versus 4 as Heroic open things up. Halfway mark, they've got themselves the opening kill. The double window repel, things not going badly. Chances there for Pones, but Benja, he's going to escape with his life. I tell you what, in a different round, in a different game, that's going to be a headshot, and off he goes. But there you go, Scyther shuts down Sloth as he tries to get aggressive at the bottom of trophy stairs. 4 versus 4.
Now he's got to hold it down a bit further back. He's being pressed in by 3 players here, and there we go. Uno holding the angle, vaults straight over into another. It's 2 kills back for Pones, a 2v3 for Heroic. They've still got time to play with Tim, and they've got control of the site, but there are potentially, he nearly gets Nico there through the soft wall as well. Don't think he expected him to find him, but here's a nade on side as well. In he comes. That moment of panic when you've got a nade in your hand and a man steps through. Benja still finds the kill, expects the second coming in for the trade, but no one's quite there to follow. Nade in hand once again, goes for the spray as the smoke canister comes out. Once again, Tim, it's a 2v2.
Pones just need to be careful of the aggression there. They're conscious of getting into sight so that they can prevent this diffuser going down. As you say, an absolute beauty coming out of Benja. He's been pivotal inside of this round. It's going to be Grizzly who manages to get the diffuser down in behind the bomb chassis, and it's all up to a mission. He's on full health. He manages to catch the legs of Benja as he goes up those trophy stairs, but it's not going to be enough as Benja is still alive, and there's plenty of utility on side to open up these vertical angles. He's going to go for it to try and lure them out, but Grizzly, he manages to find that final kill onto a mission, and that is 2-0 for Heroic.
Big north side sweep there, really coming in their favour, Tim, as well. Just got a couple of kills, and I really felt like Pones maybe were relying a bit too much on this south side defence out towards Bar and Gaming, and that was where they expected some pressure to come from. But no, Heroic instead push everyone up towards that north side. Ideally seeing Benja out towards West Main should have given you that heads up of, okay, there's going to be a reason why he's sat around this window. Clearly they're trying to get themselves inside West Main and go and pushing towards Kitchen. So a small misread by Pones on the situation, but excellently played by Benja, using their own shield against them rather than destroying it.
Problem for Pones at the minute, Des, is they're not controlling sight enough. 2 rounds, 2 plants, 2 opportunities for Heroic to get in with about 40 seconds left on the clock.
2v2s as well.
Exactly. Plenty of time left on the clock. We're not talking about the final 5 seconds when they've managed to get in and get that diffuser down. How long did Heroic have full access to the site there? You know, Pones they had 3 men left, Des, and not one of them was on site. They'd all been forced out into dining corridor and beyond. There was one playing in games. That ain't your site. And Heroic just had plenty of access into kitchen. It wasn't difficult. As soon as Grizzly gets himself in behind that bomb chassis, there's no real challenge that can be made from that side of the map, from main lobby, from dining corridor, from games. There's no challenge that can be made that deep into kitchen. So for me, Pones, you've got to hold on to your sight better here in round 3.
There's got to be some special plan here coming out of Benja, because to drop away the sledge on this site when ideally you get the library control, smash the floor to pieces and play off those vertical angles when you're looking for a plant, that's only really available with the Thatcher with those 3 breaching charges in back pocket. Outside of that, they're really limited on the vertical destruction. So there's got to be a reason again why they're running such a strange comp here for what normally would be something like a sledge coming out. Let's see what Benja does. He did nearly find someone through the soft wall, but just couldn't quite land the shots.
Sloth straight into the top floor on the Finker, takes out the cam, starts working his way across. That's going to be the shield gone. Nico going to have to play this just a little bit more passively now. Can't get too aggressive up towards the top of those stairs, as you see. Back down, the nade comes in, but look at that, barely takes any damage from it. That's actually a little bit of decent luck there for Nico as he manages to just hold on to as much of his life as he can, get a little smoke canister out there to slow down the push, and so far, not terrible for Pones.
And I think for Heroic here, this looks like a pretty standard take overall. The really interesting use case is identifying that the Wamai was going to dig in deep at the top of library stairs. They bring along the Thatcher, knock out some of those magnets, and the grenades from Benja can fly for free. Obviously not quite finding the target they needed, but it will start putting pressure on the side of Pones. Next time that EMP comes out, they'll have to back away out of fear of 2 more nades from Sloth coming raining through.
as EMP there, just going to take out a little bit of utility and force the man out of the corner of Library. Benja, second entry in a row, this time onto Exodus, but WTG manages to trade it out. 4v4, and Heroic have got control of the top floor, and there's an absolute age left here, Des, on the clock. We've got the Gon 6 just used to take out that information coming in from the bulletproof cam on main stairs, and Heroic, they can just take the foot off the gas a little bit here. They can get on the drones, they can look for that information, they can think about exactly where this push into site is going to come from, because Pawns, they've been forced backs to the wall away from site again.
But Timmer touched on that lack of vertical earlier on. That's going to start stinging him a little bit here. Like, sure, if you want to try and use the Habana X Kairos, you can, but it's far from ideal when you normally have like a buck or a sledge on side. So really everything turns to Grizzly. The placement of these has got to be absolutely perfect. And Nico, still being a rat down in the basement here, was hoping maybe to catch someone out, but no one's pushing down that way at the minute. 3 members from Heroic up on the top floor. Gorgona stepping through, and Uno gets the vertical. All too easy.
Big kill from Uno there, just really starts opening things up. Gorgona managing to find WTG. Nico shut down on the stairs. Gorgona going big in round 3. It is looking good for Heroic right now. Either shut down from above. Grizzly manages to find that final kill, and Heroic, they come in cruising to a 3-0 lead.
That's the kind of start you wanted to see. Those first couple of rounds felt a little bit shaky. That one, much more convincing again, outside of the problem of having to shoot vertical holes through the floor, because they had no option otherwise of being able to get things opened up. So a small oversight that ultimately they managed to just smooth the crack over. Gorg especially a massive 2K when he came pushing down towards that hallway 90. Now, Pawns identified. We're 3 rounds in. We've gone through the first quarter of the map. We've played our 3 sites. Now we've got to find something else. We've got to come up with something new, because we're going to have to play those same 3 sites again. And clearly changing what went wrong previously is going to be a big focus. Looking back at round 1, that slither of an angle that was the sole point of their defense, you're leaving yourself far too little room there to make errors, well, too much room to make errors, I suppose I should say, rather than to get it right. The second one, that big north side push just caught them completely off guard. And that time around, they just looked like they got completely blindsided by Gorgona pushing through and getting those 2 kills on the underside.
I mean, you know, if we want to try and find a positive for Pawns, the diffuser didn't go down last round. I'm sort of scratching, Des.
I mean, is there a need when you've got 4 players left alive and you're just fragging out?
I'm kind of scratching. I'm trying to rescue my prediction here. You know, they've managed to stop the diffuse plant this time.
This is a proper, help me.
Help me.
Your predictions right now are not in a good place.
Round number 4 we head into, then it's going to be back up to the top floor. Pawns, looks like they're going to rinse and repeat that cycle, try and get themselves back through those 3 sites, but they're going to be looking for something. The thing is, let's not get carried away here, and this isn't just me defending my predictions.
Alrighty.
Heroic are on the attack of Chalet. We would expect a 4-2. If Pawns can pick up 2 defensive rounds here out of the final 3, then they are not going to feel too hard done to here in this first half. But I will concede that that is looking like a big if with the way that Heroic are playing so far today.
I mean, let's give it to them as well, Tim. Yeah, Pawns did not have a good stage 1. They finished dead
Not the
last.
best.
Things were not looking good for them either way. They were right down there at the bottom. It wasn't good. The only way from there is up. They've made a good change in bringing Nico on board as well, so hopefully they see a little bit of a change in fortunes. They've had more time together as a team as well. I would like to see them be more competitive this stage. I know that Heroic aren't, you know, full of confidence here as they were back in stage 1. Somewhat traumatized by their travel adventures to and from the major. Didn't have a good time. I think 5 days it took them to get home on the way back, which is just horrific.
It's not ideal, is it?
Ideal is a soft way of putting it. It wasn't good.
They've had some terrible luck there. I mean, we had a little bit of disruption on the way back. There was a storm that delayed, and there was lots of people missing connections and things. But it was like I just got switched onto a flight.
I'm people.
I just got switched onto a flight to JFK and got a different flight back to it. You know, it was absolutely fine. It was sorted. It was and Heroic somehow just had an absolute nightmare. But the nightmare this time is on the side of Pawns as Emission gets taken down with an opener, and that is going to be another good start for Heroic. It is entry after entry for them right now.
Normally you'd have a bulletproof camera on the lobby stairs for that exact reason. It stops that kind of thing happening. So I'm not sure what Exodus's camera is. I mean, if it's on the main stairs, that's going to be a real kicker that he's managed to get past that. Nope, it's not there. They put it elsewhere, so there's a blind spot there. And fair enough, Sloth has identified that and just worked his way forwards. To be fair, even if one was there, he's on a nook. You can't really stop that happening.
No, there's, you know, every opportunity for him to keep himself off of those cameras. So, you know, it's not something that we can really blame Pawns for. Stage 2, and that is 1 on the count. Now, pushing forward, the count comes in as Scyther manages to get a kill onto Benja. just to level the count out. 4 versus
Stop the
4 now,
count.
but the diffuser's going down. Uno has managed to get himself
know he's
inside,
there.
and once again,
C4.
Pawns have let go of it, but this time there's an opportunity, and they get it shut down. 2v2.
That was a small oversight, I think, there, but the LMG goes brrr all the way through. Tim got... No! Grizzly, what are you doing? I mean, you know your man's pretty far and away with an LMG, so what do? Step in front of him. What a great idea.
Pawns managed to pick up their first round there, and you know, on the back of a team kill or not, there was some good play from them. They recognised what went wrong previously, and that was that they wanted to deny that plant from underneath, but the castle wasn't quick enough, had too much work to do opening up with a shotgun. What can we do instead? I tell you what we can do. We can bring a Nitro, WTG, boof, shuts it down, Uno dead, 3v2, and they close out the round. Better play from Pawns. I'm still a little bit concerned that Uno had an opportunity to get in, but it may well be that they baited him in, that they wanted him to come in and try and get that diffuser down so that they could play that vertical Nitro. But just be careful, Pawns, that you're not giving that site control away.
Also want to give a nod towards Nico. First EUL kill wins your team your first EUL round. Fantastic stuff. It gets you on the board. It starts moving things forward. But that round there really felt like it was a mistake on Heroic side to me. Like they're the ones who lost it to themselves. They had control of lobby. We had Sloth coming up main stairs where he got that kill inside a library. They had all the time in the world to either A, have a flank drone down and below. I didn't see if the C4 was pre-placed or not, but if it was pre-placed, you should have had eyes on that a long time ago. And then on the upstairs to get the TK, there's two kind of eventualities there in that round that have meant you have not got the plant down, you've not got the 2v2 closer that you were looking for. Definitely a bit of a slip up on Heroic side rather than Pwn so much playing it absolutely excellently, but round is a round, Tim, and hopefully they can turn it into a second and a third to give us that wonderful 3-3 split that we love.
A round is indeed a round. It is a foundation for Pawns, but the question is, what's their building skills like? Can they push forward from here and get more? Round number 5 then, it's going to be kitchen and dining. As suggested, they're going to rinse and repeat that order. They're going to move their way through it, hoping for different outcomes for adaptation. Last time around, Heroic were able to get top floor control at about the halfway mark. They were able to start opening up the verticals down onto site, and it really did not bode well for Pawns. So what I want to see from them here is holding on better. WTG, he's going to be in a key position to do that. He's got a shield. He's got himself inside the closet. He's got himself a lot of damage done, Des. It's not looking good for him.
And Benja there was trying to challenge the angle as well. WTG, got to be so careful on this bolt through. You can literally see the bullet trace lines going past him, but does about escape. And no, gets caught on the window. Grizzly with a massive 2k before Emission realises, okay, boys, time to close down the Heroic party. It's gone past 11 p.m. Does get the shutdown onto the window, but Heroic still have that numbers advantage just 75 seconds into the round, Tim.
This is it, and it is a big advantage for them because not only is it numbers, Des, it's also map control. You can see now Pawns, all 3 of them forced back to site, and even at that, they're in dining corridor. If you remember, I picked up on this last time, they were too deep, and if
Great
this
nades.
player goes, there you go. Emission though, he manages to get him, and Scyther somehow escapes the nade. That was a big play because it's Scyther who can prevent the diffuser going down inside a kitchen, which is last time what Heroic were able to achieve. Coming up to that minute mark, and Pawns, somehow, they've dug their heels in here, Des.
Benja's still just been staring at this window for the last, I think, 75 seconds or so. Either at the bottom of the ladder or up on the balcony, that's where his focus has been. Now finally getting himself inside and starting to give himself that vertical control that they so sorely need. You've got Uno on the drones trying to find out exactly what's going on inside of the site. I think they know that there's one sat behind the barricade. It's fair to assume if one is there, someone will be sat behind it. Exodus has found himself in the basement, probably won't get picked up by these drones in time. So Heroic here, I'm slightly concerned, are going to find themselves beginning to run out of time.
Scyther just playing those vertical angles, waiting for those holes to open up. Got to remember they work both ways. Now then, are we going to have Scyther looking to retake? He's headed over towards those blue stairs. I'm not sure if he's just looking to stop the push down or if he's maybe moving to try and get onto the flank. He is up on the top floor. Des Uno's starting to get that diffuser
Smoked
down.
out.
3v3, 3v2, 3v1. It's all falling apart for Heroic. 17 seconds left to go. Benja, we know that he's capable of this, but with 14 seconds, Pawns, they can just play this careful 2v1. They can keep themselves away from sight. Benja's looking, he finds his man. 1v1, 7 seconds left to go, but he's not going to have an opportunity to go for that final kill. He's going to have to try and stick this, and Emission's got the vertical. He's got the prep. He knows it's there, and there you go. The clock comes in. It's 3v2, and Pawns are rolling.
You're so excited about it, Tim.
No bias. No bias here.
Hashtag No bias.
Absolutely no bias.
I do want to give
from this cast.
I do want to give a nod towards Imogen. You saw it at the very end there as well. Would have been very safe to assume, look, Ben just got a stick on that and may as well go for the kill. Instead of immediately exposing himself to the vertical and going for the spray down onto the planter, instead he sidesteps to it, waits for the clock to hit 0, and then would have swung out. Otherwise, Benja gets that closing kill. It was a real gamble on Benja's side, but if Imogen had been too greedy, that could have been a heroic round there in the dying few seconds. But instead, we get that 3-2. We are seeing the fight back from Pones, and now we go down into the basement, Tim.
That's it. Pone's not going. It's an interesting choice here because they've chosen not to go to bar and gaming. They readed Master, they readed kitchen dining, but there was obviously something about bar and gaming that they thought, no, we're not going to have any more of that action. Thank you very much. It was a good attack from Heroic. If you remember, they had a lot of top floor control for a long time, and Pones really struggled to hold on to any of those key locations, mezzanine, blue stairs, library. They couldn't keep hold of any of it, and they were just picked apart inside a site. So this time we go all the way down. Now the question is, where will the push come from Heroic? Are we going to see them go to that main snowmobile garage door and operate, or are they going to go for my favourite attacking push in probably the whole of Siege, and that is the west main and trench
Tim,
push
let me pause you. Let me pause you. Let me take a seat.
Unstoppable.
Let me pause you. I'll take a seat, and you can tell us all about this wonderful push.
Well, let me tell you this. All you got to do is get control of the main wall at the bottom of West Main Stairs and the trench wall. Get those opened up, and you can then think about going in and getting a plant down behind Wine. But medics, if you could, dining hatch, please. Is it open? That's the big question. Yes, no. They've reinforced it. Pones, what are you doing to me? If you leave that hatch open, you play a player up in kitchen, up in dining. That's the deterrent. That's something that needs to be cleared out. But right now, there's no threat there from the defenders. If Heroic register that, there's only one place they need to watch for a flank, and that's West Main. They put one player holding that, they get those walls open, and then they can move in and get the diffuser down, so long as they've cleared pillar out, and that is where your nades come in. It's as easy as that.
I like the simplicity you build it into. Bearing in mind, there are...
It is that simple, I promise you.
There are 3 C4s, there are 3 smokes, there's a warden on site in case smokes are used in this execute. They have thought about this because they've watched your rank games on your stream, mate.
That must be what it is. They must have seen how easily we take this down. But Heroic are doing exactly what I'm talking about. Uno's got in and he's opening up the first angle that they need. You don't need to open all of that wall. All that you want from that wall at the bottom of West Main Stairs is you want a line of sight through to connector.
Oh, Tim,
so that stops anybody pushing back. They are doing it, Des. Trench wall is going to be next. They get that opened up. They need to clear out the Kaid, and look at that. Right on cue. Out he goes. 5v4 now as Benja picks up a brilliant opener there. And there's the second. And this is why these lines of sight are so deadly. Pones have got a real job to hold on to this now, and Exodus could be key on the flank.
Don't let me stop you, Tim. Carry on. It's all yours.
This
is your round, mate.
Well, interestingly, they've opened up the front as well. Gorgona's gone round there on the edge. There you go.
Oh,
and
look at that.
How do Pones challenge onto this now? They can't is the answer, because they've got 2 players watching any angle that they could push back from. Scyther couldn't make that peak. He couldn't aggress through there. Mission shouldn't get any joy here. There you go. In comes the kills onto the 2 players. Scyther and Mission, Connector and Blue are having absolutely none of it. And their Heroic just need to hold on. Exodus, he's trying to get his way back down to site. He's trying to find kills, but there's going to be nothing coming along. And the big problem with that defense was one singular reinforcement, Des. It was the fact that the hatch was closed over. I know they might have had other ideas to hold on to that area, but it is just too difficult to play nitros from Blue or from Connector, because you get shut down as soon as you get yourself onto the angle to hit that nitro. You can't do it. And that's why you've got to have that hatch open, and you've got to have the opportunity for Exodus to actually impact on that plant. Pones, what are you doing to me? I predicted you. Open the hatch.
Thank you, Professor Lever, for that wonderful breakdown of that round. The thing is, it does happen time and time again. You get very excited about it for fair reason.
Because it does so work. Easy. Honestly, if you play Chalet in ranked, please stop going to main door. Just go and open those 2 walls and win the round.
You're right there, Tim.
Well, no, you're touching a nerve now, because every time... Every time I'm in rank, I'm on a rant here. This is getting dangerous. Every time I'm in rank with randoms, I always get shouted at, and Fresh can back me up on this. Come and open main wall. Come and open main wall. I'm saying, no, we're pushing rear side. Come and open main. We need to open main wall.
I know that.
Every single time I get barked at about it, and then we win round after round on wine with that attack because people just don't know how to defend against it. And the answer, the key to defending against that is honestly the hatch and keeping hold of. You've got to keep a roamer upstairs, obviously. You've got to have somebody alive to be able to actually play through the hatch, but it is the key to that defence.
Well, the real race now is who gets it on TikTok first, you or Fresh.
I mean, Fresh has got an advantage. I'm casting the game. Benja, he's going to get this one opened up.
Honestly,
how many entries has he had? 4 out of 6 so far. Make that 4 out of 7 as we're in the 7th round. But he's going fantastically well on the entry, taking down Exodus, and that is a big start for Heroic's defences here. As I said, 4-2 half on the defence. Not the end of the world for Pawns, but they've got to start winning attacks.
I like at least they're trying to make use of sense here, but the problem is, and so many analysts, players, coaches, even fans will say the same thing, there are just so many counters to the Sense gadget right now. They've got 2 bulletproofs on site. They can see through the light screens or through the Sense wall. There's all kinds of debates about what to call it. It's a light wall, it's a light screen, it's whatever you want to call it. At this point, Benja, sure not thinking about a punch out here and potentially a freebie, but he's considering it. Sider, though, was already up on the roof, so not going to be able to get found out by that. But don't forget, you've also got Gord playing on the pulse, who can feed a little bit of information back and forth on where these players are. And there he is, giving assistance across towards Benja when he was thinking about that jump out.
Honestly, Heroic are looking solid on the defence so far. Nico manages to get an important peek onto Sloth there, just shuts him down with a headshot above the keeper barricade, and those keepers are really interested inside a library there because that's always been a position that's difficult to hold on to if you play mezzanine.
Oh, can you imagine NJR with those
Well, this is exactly it. You know, one of the things I actually was going to pick up on earlier for the bar gaming hold from Pawns, quite often, if you remember, you'd see the drone just run into the corner there, and players couldn't do anything about it because they couldn't risk peeking around the single door to kill the drone because they'd get picked up from double window. Now you've got keeper barricades that can block that entire line of sight, so he was able to dash in and start taking drones down. Really powerful for the defenders,
Benja.
but as we can see, Heroic are just using it to maximum effect here. Benja going big, 3k on the round 4v1.
Do you think someone told him Spoit was playing today and he thought, you know what, best put on a good show on day one?
Spoit who?
Spoit who? It's all about the Benja boy. The funny thing is, those two used to both play in Nordics as far as I remember, back when Spoit was on Godsent, before it was a 18-plus league. Used to have a good few very young players playing in that competition. Spoit and Benja being 2 of those. So it's really good to see them both making it here to that top level now. Of course, they are both over 18 years old. Benja's looking for another one, though. He's not quite done causing trouble in this game. Grizzly, I want to mention as well, a player that we said last stage doesn't really shine in terms of big multi-kills in rounds, but gets his kills consistently throughout the game. And until those couple of kills came through for Benja, was matched on kills.
1v4 then. Amision has got a big job ahead of him. 18 seconds left to go, and this is almost certainly over. The spray down coming from office door. Not going to connect, but it doesn't matter. They're the shots that matters. Gorgona, actually, it's not the shots from Library that gets the kill. It's going to be the Nitro. Oh, Gorgona, you're just getting cheeky now. Outside, up over the balcony, finds his man, and that's going to leave us 5-2 on the scoreboard. And Heroic looking back to their stage 1 best.
It looked a little bit shaky at the start of the first half,
Yeah,
I
they've
think.
got rolling now, though.
Yeah, now they've kind of got their groove on a little bit, and sure, after the timeout by Pawns as well, things were shaky for a couple of rounds. But that's 2 now back-to-back where Heroic have looked solid. They're going to give themselves a go down in the basement, Tim, and let's just wager that war now. Are they going to reinforce the hatch, or are they going to leave it open, Tim?
Leave it open and play somebody up in kitchen and dining, please. The thing is, it's not a guarantee to defend in the site. It's not like, right, that's
no,
it.
You'll get challenged.
You'll get challenged. Well. But what you're going to do is waste a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because there's absolutely no question that the attackers have to go and clear that and have to get control of it. There you go. It's been opened. Thank you, Heroic. And what's going to happen?
I'll tell you what, if they get a kill when a plank comes in from that hatch,
I'm going to lose it.
I'll crease. I'll die.
I'm going to absolutely lose it. But what happens is you don't need to play it from dining necessarily. No. You can open the floor in office above it. So another little tip for you at home, take it away, give it a whirl in your games. Open up the floor in office above the hatch, and you can play yourself on the roam upstairs. Keep yourself mobile. Keep it, loosey-goosey up there. Keep yourself difficult to pin down, and then you can make the challenge from 2 floors away.
Yep.
Waste as much time as you can, because they cannot risk planting whilst that hatch is open realistically.
Look at Benja. He's full of beans today. He's really feeling it, Tim. Call him a Brit. He's had his baked beans for breakfast. He wants himself to get cheeky around his window, just hoping that someone comes out from spawn side. But as of yet, no one really has done that. And also blocking this off there with the Kiba as well. Just a small little nice touch there in case there were any shock drones to come rolling in, of which, of course, there will not.
And do you know why that's happened? Because they wanted to push the front because the hatch was open. So then you've got that play, you've got Bandit, and I love what Heroic have done there. They've read right into it. Yep, we'll bring the Bandit along on Uno, we'll play for the trick, we'll take some utility off them. Well played, Heroic.
My only concern, and I'm really sorry to say this, Sloth, is that it's Sloth holding inside a kitchen. He got taken away from playing defensive entry duties for a reason, because he would get really aggressive early on and often taken a lot of their entry deaths. I love actually the one game they did that and they didn't get a single entry kill on the defense anyway. But that's to one side. He's going to be going aggressive here, no doubt, trying to find kills. He's going to be supported by Grizzly and Benja, who are playing up on the top floor.
And look at the time, Des. 1 minute 10, already burnt, and pawns aren't even near to pushing onto site yet. They've got a lot of work to do. Look, they're just setting up for a solo take, and they're nearly halfway through the round. This is going to be down to the wire. Even if they get in and get these kills onto the roamers, it is not going to make life easy. WDG with a beauty onto the head of Benja. He's been the best entry player in the server so far, but WTG shuts him down with what could be an important start here.
I love how Heroic are making full use of the map as well and roaming across the whole thing. Now that Benja's gone down, they will start dropping their way back now. Like, okay, cool, we've lost a lot. Now, Tim, we have got 1 minute and 15 on the clock, and they are gearing up for a similar execute to what you talked about. They've got the Hibana, they've got the Ace, they've got everything they need on side to make this work. Will they?
So long as they keep control of that hatch, there's no reason that they shouldn't. It only takes 3 players downstairs to really pull this push off. 1 hold angle into blue, 1 hold angle into connector, 3rd plants. So they should be able to keep control of that top floor hatch, but Gorgona's up there, and this is the problem. Pawns have to have control of this. They've got Sloth on the top floor as well. There's a real opportunity for them to play spoiler from that hatch.
They've got to know that Cider's up here, though. If they don't, they're in trouble. And look at that. That is beautiful. Sloth did a full loop over the top to make sure they could challenge from 2 directions, but one's been put down. Now Sloth stepping in. Gorg's on the deck, but they've still got the chance to win this one out. They've got one going up West Main. It's Exodus. He could find a couple of kills here as well. Do they know? Sloth can't quite find the kill. That'll put things down to a 2 versus 2. Now that Gorg, who was already down, has been finished off. The plant is coming down. There's no easy way to stop it. There's no one up on the retake here. Exodus going for a couple of shots. When does that LMG stop singing? Right now, as Uno comes in with a big 2K, knowing that full well it was a 1 versus 1 temporarily, and gets both kills. Heroic move up to match point.
Really smart from Heroic there. The last 2 men left, particularly Uno, choosing to push up at that point. As soon as the challenge comes in from the Finker on blue, he knows that the plant has to be going down, so he pushes from connector. And that's why I said 20 seconds earlier, you can achieve this plant with 3 players, because you need somebody watching connector as well. And that is what Pawns were missing. And why were they missing it? Because of the players they lost around that hatch play. They never had control of it. And Gorgona, he got downed up there. It was well played from Pawns to be able to hit that reverse angle, but then Sloth comes in and does some damage from that hatch. It was all centered around dining realistically that round, and it was really well played and well controlled from Heroic, and that shows how you stop that rear-sided push.
Baron Gaming being avoided so far by Heroic. It has often been the most popular site coming out by defenders, but here no, opting to avoid it entirely on the defensive side. We've gone through Master and Office, then to Snowmobile, and now into Kitchen and Dining. As I'm seeing a lot of playtime as well here today, Tim. I think we've seen her in all but 1 round so far. Yep, didn't see her in round 6. But outside of that, we've seen her in every round otherwise.
Certainly have, and this could be our final round that we see her in. 6-2 to Heroic, and it's feeling a little bit like I'm going to have to take the L along with Pawns here, because Heroic have really got themselves moving. And the thing is, Des, you can gloat all you want, but as I've always said, I like to see every single team in this league be competitive, and so there was a little bit of wishful thinking.
Yeah, what a team you predict.
I'm not backing out of it. I'm just saying I wanted to see him. I want to see him compete. I want to see him compete.
Hang on. If you take the Anomaly team in like a matchup and they lose, you're like, well, I want every team to be competitive, and that's why I predicted
wishful thinking.
If you win, you're absolutely insufferable.
I'm insufferable, of course. I'm a big brain genius.
We can't win. Because you can't attack you too much when you lose, because you're such a nice guy.
Wow.
Is that all part of the ruse?
I built that up over years, Des. Built that up over years. Right, Nico, he's got himself into top floor here. They're going to be attacking onto kitchen, so as much as he's got library, he's going to have to make progress across the map because they're going to want to take hold of Master, and that is where Heroic have got 3 players at present looking to hold them off. Sloth is joined up there by Gorgona. He's got Grizzly as well, and Uno's not too far away. He's on those trophy stairs, and he's ready to step up and just give a little bit of support if necessary.
Last time it was Grizzly playing on double window. Obviously a full switch over here because it's the attacking side for Pones, but I wonder if we see Heroic get the same read. Don't forget they had the run out after Grizzly got his 2k on that double window to shut that one down. Looks a little bit different here, and Pones are giving themselves a lot to do where they've got to go for a full map clear. They've started library, so I want this top floor control to play for the vertical and then work on the downstairs. This is a great way to start it, as Exodus has swept across this downstairs already and picked off the smoke. Such a critical operator to remove this early on.
Definitely a big entry, but we've seen entries from Pawns before and they're then unable to convert that into
Last
a
round.
round win. Can they do it this time? Gorgona, he's still staying aggressive on this half wall. He's thinking about that peek onto double window. I think he almost wants to go for the little run, the little jog out there and see if he can catch anybody, but for the time being he's just going to wait and see if anybody exposes themselves towards the top of mezzanine stairs.
No
There you go. I
way.
knew that he wanted
No
it.
way.
And it pays off. Grizzly challenging at the perfect moment, and that is a big double on the top floor from Heroic. Diffuser down, and Pawns, they're in shambles right now.
And don't forget, this is all over Office as well, but no, 2 big kills coming back as Nico picks up Gorg, equalising the score. The number of 2v2s we've seen in this matchup, Tim, I've lost count, even though it's only been 9 rounds so far. But Pones, they've got a lot of work to do. They've got the butt, they've got the vertical control, they've got smokes to play with. But one thing they don't have, Tim, is time. We're down to the last 20.
That's it, and Heroic are just going to play this out on site now. Nico is just rapidly trying to open up that floor below him just to try and find anything. Grizzly might just get caught out here. I think he's aware. No, he's turned
They're both
himself
here.
around. He knows in the castle barricade
don't
coming
know.
clutch. 8 seconds left to go. Grizzly holding his angle. He manages to get a beautiful headshot. 2v1. It's all up to Scyther. He's inside of sight, but they're not going to take the challenge. Benja does, though. Swings around the corner. Gets himself the final kill, and Heroic, what a performance from them. And they are just coming back into EUL saying, Major? What Major? Don't worry about that performance because we are ready to win plenty more games here in EUL.
A really good, strong start. And I had a conversation with one of the boys yesterday. They said, you know what? We're not quite as there as we were in stage 1. We've been trying out a couple of role swaps, doing a few things in the off-season that haven't really gelled. And we're not the team we once were. We're not yet at that point. But from what I saw in a good half of those rounds, Tim, that was Heroic that we knew from stage 1.
Benja and Gorgona, 23-8 between the two of them. Absolutely ludicrous performance from those two. Just gone huge.
I think it's fair to say that we're now going to see Shally and their map pull a bit more.
I think it could be.
I think it should be. That's the way to look at it. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, analysts will break this one down for you. See you in a few.